So some states will send you questions if you've not registered or you've not been filing. And so they send you, depending on the state, there might be a 2 or 3 page list of questions that you answer, pretty much disclosing everything you've done or didn't do or potentially will do in the state. And so depending on how you answer the questionnaire, a state may decide that you should be filing or you should have been filing, and then they would, um, you know, pretty much tell you, hey, you didn't do something. We expect to see these returns for these periods, and they could be, going back further than you realize that you might have had Nexus. And the unfortunate thing is, if you do fill it out and you don't know what you're answering, and you answer, a particular question with a wrong date, or something to that effect, you might be subjecting yourself to Nexus, and then having to prove, right, that you didn't have an obligation before that date that you pretty much disclosed on the questionnaire. So those are some of the pitfalls that taxpayers
Yeah,
might run into.
we dealt with one where one of our clients got it, didn't tell us, handled it, returned it. No one else really at the company knew that this was completed. And so then, they had kind of friendly phone calls from the Minnesota Department of Revenue, which Minnesota is really good at. I think between Minnesota and Texas, those probably account for 90% of the Nexus questionnaires, kind of random Nexus questionnaires that we see. They had filled out the Nexus questionnaire, and the agent was like, yeah, you got Nexus, where are your returns? It's like, well, I have no idea what she put on it because no one knew what was on it. So I needed to make sure, because in Minnesota, they ask you for your worldwide receipts, your in-state receipts. And so it's like, I don't know what you told Minnesota that you're doing. I need to make sure whatever's on my Nexus questionnaire matches my tax return. So, and this is back to 2018, this is 4 years ago. So, once you kind of respond to that piece of paper, that becomes your truth. And all of your kind of subsequent documents associated with that piece of paper need to align with the truth that you have kind of represented to the state.
Right.
So make sure you copy that.
Well, there's that, but it's also make sure that that's the truth, right? Because if it's not the truth, back to Tram's point, it's very difficult to get the state to change the answer.
It's really interesting because those documents, they're really designed to kind of entrap you in a yes or no answer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, your business activities, especially across multiple states, are not that clear.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of gray area in the law about various activities, multi-state activities. So, don't ignore it. You should answer it. You don't always have to say yes or no. So that's where an advisor can be especially helpful.
Well, and especially there are some that ask for like, what are your top 3 customers? And it's like, well, some people are they're very protective of their relationships with their customers and they don't want to disclose that. And realistically, it's not relevant. Like, if I'm doing business in the state, I check the box that I go visit my customers. Why do you care if I went to, XYZ company? Or, even from an income tax perspective, maybe it's a cost performance state and you disclose that you have, X amount of revenue from like a billing perspective into a state, but your return is going to show 0 based on their sourcing rules. And so you don't, again, there could be that discrepancy between, yes, I billed this company $1 million, but I'm going to show a 0 numerator. So just being really, thoughtful about those. And if you don't answer a question, explain why, because we have been able to get around answering all of those questions was just like, hey, our bad, we'll just go ahead and file returns, and not disclose a ton of stuff.
Well, and I think when they ask about, like, there are some states that ask if you have affiliate entities or related entities. So they're trying to put together that picture of, what might potentially create Nexus. So that's the Nexus questionnaire. So your customers, your subsidiaries, or your, affiliated companies, by disclosing them, I think in some states they may try to stick Nexus with you that way. So just understanding truly what you're disclosing is like important in terms of structure, even, and
Yes.
who you're engaging with.
Absolutely.
So I think short story here is if you get some paperwork from the states,
Call us.
don't freak out, but don't.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for stopping in. And this is Alex, Tram, Stacey, and Meredith with SALTovation. And we'll catch you next time.
Have a
Thanks,
good day.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.